establishment of the Second Temple when he writes, "When the people saw the building of the temple foundations, that the sounds were mixed with mourning, bechi, and simcha, joy. It was impossible to differentiate between the cries of mourning and the cries of joy." Our work here reflects that mixture of zikaron, memory, survival, resilience, and vitality, as expressed by selfhood and independence. We must negotiate the darkness and the light together with generosity, hope, love, and loss. It is in that mixture of hope, grief, and pride that we can locate the empathy required to reconfigure and recenter tolerance and its progeny, acceptance, support, empowerment. All of this is at the core of MOTJ. I am here today as we are embarking on a partnership in light of our shared commitment for tolerance, which is exemplified by our determination to create conditions for renewed conversation as understanding across peoples, religions, and communities, as you've heard across this morning. We must address prejudicial assumptions so that we can conquer the ugliness of hatred and create the conditions for dialogue and intercultural interaction and support. I've endeavored to do this through building rigorous academic programs which celebrate vitality as a response to and as a mode of resistance against prejudice in the university and society. A few words about the role of my college at the University of Oxford and the leadership in Oriel College. The provost, Lord Neil Mendoza, leads the college with a profound commitment for tolerance and with an equally profound disdain for hatred, and in particular, a commitment to fight against anti-Semitism. The conditions on the ground at Oriel College are ideal now for building a bridge between MOTJ and Oxford because of the joint vision that these two institutions share. I also share my college with none other than Yonatan Riss, who was the first Israeli to attend Oriel College. His sipuk nefesh and chazon, his investment and vision brought me here today. I am the statutory professor of Hebrew Bible of Mikra at Oxford. My chair was founded in 1883. It probably is not a surprise to you to tell you that I'm the first Jew, the first woman, and the first American to hold this chair. I built a vigorous and engaged community that is committed to the ongoing vitality of Judaism as a way of challenging anti-Semitism and bigotry on the whole in society and in the university. My goal then is to foster and encourage ethical pathways, what I've called ethical reading, for thinking that are resilient, generative, and full of creativity. If we are to win a decisive victory over hatred and intolerance in the present, it's essential that we overcome the prejudicial image of Judaism, Semitic languages, and Semitic peoples that young and old minds encounter. This is also the case for all forms of hatred and bias, since all stem from the same hatred of difference at its core. We must engage it directly across all levels of religious practice and education. The way my program in Oxford fights racism and anti-Semitism in particular involves the rethinking of historical and religious presuppositions that challenges both society and the university. One of my projects focuses on vitality itself, which I define as the way in which we capture life and resilience of Judaism through tradition, practice, and history. In my conceptualization, vitality is at once Judaism's capacity to develop and live despite prejudice. It is about the intellectual courage of inclusion of old and new voices in the space of the university and in spaces of the museum. Together with the British Museum, we are working hard to realize this project called Vitality of Judaism as a full-scale international collaboration between Oxford, the British Museum with the Keeper of Antiquity, Paul Collins, and the Museum of Tolerance. In this exhibit, we celebrate a world of illuminated manuscripts, synagogal mosaics floors, magic bowls, amulets, modern artists such as Rothko and Chagall, and the traditions of reading Torah from Yemen, Kurdistan, and Turkey. The Arch of Titus is the entryway for the exhibit, not as loss, but as victory. Judaism has defied and surprised the world with its survival. The story of ancient Judaism is one of exile and resilience, already in antiquity, in conversation with civilizations of Egypt, the Middle East, Greece, and Rome. It produced an extraordinary bloom of art and texts that expressed many concepts fundamental to the development of early Christianity and Islam. This is the story of the Jewish people within a scattered yet connected community. The idea of a physical Jerusalem was transformed into a poetic idea through some of the most remarkable images and words to have survived from the ancient world. Drawing on ancient Egyptian, Middle Eastern, Greco-Roman, Arabic tradition, Judaism emerged as a vibrant religion of tensions between monotheism and between multiple divine and demonic forces, between the avoidance of visual depictions and an extraordinary flowering of representational art. At the heart of the exhibit will be the examples of the famous Dead Sea Scrolls, which include the oldest surviving manuscripts of entire books of the Hebrew Bible, as well as the earliest manuscripts of the Septuagint, the Greek translation, together with enormous variety of prayers, exorcism, calendars, myths, and visions that reveal a diversity of religious thought in the last centuries BCE all the way through the 1st century CE. Superb large-scale mosaics from synagogues, especially the recently excavated examples from Hukok in the Galilee, are filled with figured scenes blending biblical, mythical, and astrological themes. This story has never been told in an exhibition, and certainly not in the British Museum. Ancient Judaism and its connection to the present is rarely encountered in displays outside of dedicated Jewish museums. What the Oxford, British Museum, and MOTJ project does, along with a whole host of related projects, is to rethink what it is to talk about Judaism, Jewish philosophy and belief, and an international presence of Judaism across civilizations, both East and West. This is important for the voice and relevance of Judaism to art, to music, to politics, and to philosophy. This is what our collaboration will exemplify, and this is precisely the kind of content that we can share with MOTJ. Our findings across what is nearly a century old have surprised us and compelled us to rethink our past and to understand that we need to rethink the role of Judaism in the world and its integrative voice in human civilization. We stand at the brink of something enormous. To create the conditions for a society which exemplifies tolerance, which fights for Judaism and for the space for Judaism to rethink its past. The task of the exhibition is to celebrate the creative and innovative spirit of Judaism in a way that opens up our minds and our imaginations to the profound and complex spirit of antiquity. The conditions are ideal now with the leadership of MOTJ and the leadership of Oriel College. Judaism from its earliest expressions is multifaceted, it's kaleidoscopic. No aspect of Judaism is without complexity and without multiple forms. This is because of its vital and dynamic expressions. The vitality of Judaism is about surprise and transformation, a transformation that is ongoing, aspirational, and perennial. We must be open to understanding our past in new ways through the findings of our texts and objects and contexts, just as the Museum of Tolerance asks us to create new pathways to understand our present. What we find in our new evidence is an ever-transforming Judaism, not defined by the destruction in 70 CE, but defined by the resilient and creative and innovative determination to overcome destruction. I am excited to build a bridge with MOTJ between museums and universities in Israel, in UK, in Europe, in the US, and across the world. Public universities and museums can be ideal meeting places for cultivating a culture of tolerance and respect in a space that is open to everyone. Teaching religion contributes to fighting against intolerance and hatred that is both local and global. We believe that through understanding, through listening, and through a renewed courage to change the world around us, we can together celebrate the vitality and creativity of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. There is no better place in the world to do this than Jerusalem as we stand in the Museum of Tolerance. Thank you.
Well, we're now in for a wonderful 15 minutes where we'll